Okay, so topic for today's class is cholecystitis. Okay, cholecystitis, it is inflammation of gallbladder. Okay, so cholecystitis is inflammation of gallbladder, and it can be classified as acute cholecystitis, chronic cholecystitis, and acute and chronic cholecystitis. Okay, so first of all, acute cholecystitis. Okay, so acute cholecystitis as name, acute cholecystitis means acute inflammation of the gallbladder. Okay, and acute cholecystitis, it can be divided into acute calculous cholecystitis and acute acalculous cholecystitis. Acute calculous cholecystitis means it is associated with cholelithiasis. Okay, acute calculous means stone. So acute calculous cholecystitis, it is more common. It comprises around 90% of the acute cholecystitis. So acute calculous cholecystitis, it is associated with stone. Okay, stone of gallbladder, cholelithiasis. And acute acalculous cholecystitis means acute cholecystitis in absence of cholelithiasis. Means in absence of stone, if there is acute inflammation of the gallbladder, that is known as acute acalculous cholecystitis. And in acute calculous cholecystitis, 90% of the cases, the stone, it will obstruct the, otherwise it is present and obstruct the neck of the gallbladder. This is the neck of the gallbladder. Okay, neck of the gallbladder or cystic duct. Okay, so acute calculous cholecystitis, it is precipitated by obstruction of the neck or cystic duct by the stone. Okay, this is neck of the gallbladder and cystic duct. It is obstructed by the stone in 90% of the cases. Okay, so acute cholecystitis, it can be divided into acute calculous if there is presence of stone, and acute acalculous cholecystitis if stone is absent. Acute inflammation in absence of stone is acute acalculous cholecystitis. And the stone generally obstruct the neck or cystic duct of the gallbladder. Okay, so in pathogenesis of acute calculous cholecystitis means associated with stone. So when the stone becomes impacted in the cystic duct, okay, cystic duct is, this is the cystic duct. Okay? When stone gets impacted in the cystic duct and persistently obstruct it, acute inflammation will result. Okay. So when a stone becomes impacted in the cystic duct and will persistently obstruct it, there is acute inflammation. Acute inflammation and bile stasis. Okay, that bile stasis, it will triggers the release of inflammatory enzymes. Okay, inflammatory enzyme like phospholipase A. Okay, and that phospholipase, it will convert lecithin to lysolecithin, and that also will mediate inflammation. Okay, first of all, there is obstruction of the cystic duct by stone. Okay, persistent obstruction of the cystic duct by impacted stone. And similarly, that there is bile stasis also. Okay, and that bile stasis, it release inflammatory enzymes, phospholipase A. That phospholipase A, it will convert lecithin to lysolecithin. Okay, similarly, there is damage to the mucosa. Okay, there is damage to the mucosa by detergent action of the bile, and that damaged mucosa will secrete more fluid into the gallbladder than it absorbs. Okay, the damaged mucosa, it will secrete more fluid into the gallbladder than it absorbs. So if there is more fluid, there is more distension, and the resulting distension, it further releases inflammatory mediators like prostaglandin. Okay, so there is more fluid. The damaged mucosa of the gallbladder will secrete more fluid than it can absorb. So as there is more fluid accumulation, there is distension of the gallbladder, and that distension, it will further release the inflammatory mediators like prostaglandin, and the prostaglandin will cause further worsening of the mucosal damage. Okay, causing ischemia. Okay, distension, and the distension will further release prostaglandin, and it will cause further ischemia. Okay, blood flow is compromised to the mucosa, and later bacterial infection can supervene. Okay, so first of all, the stone is impacted in the cystic duct and will obstruct it, resulting in acute inflammation. Similarly, there is bile stasis also, and that bile stasis, it will trigger the release of inflammatory enzymes like phospholipase A, and that phospholipase A, it will convert lecithin to lysolecithin, which will also mediate the inflammation. Similarly, the normal mucosa is damaged by the detergent action of the bile, and that damaged mucosa will secrete more fluid. Okay, damaged mucosa will secrete more fluid than it can absorb. Okay, as there is more fluid accumulation, there is distension of the gallbladder. And this distension will release inflammatory mediators like prostaglandin, and prostaglandin will further worsen the mucosal damage as well as can cause ischemia. Okay, and finally, the bacterial contamination may supervene there. And this vicious cycle of food secretion and inflammation, when unchecked, can finally lead to necrosis and perforation. Okay, so there is vicious cycle formed. Okay, vicious cycle of food secretion and inflammation, and if it is unchecked, and if any medical or surgical intervention is not taken in time, it may lead to necrosis and perforation. Okay, so there is impaction of the stone in the cystic duct and bile stasis. It will release inflammatory enzymes like phospholipase A. That phospholipase A, it will convert lecithin to lysolecithin. Similarly, the normal mucosa of the gallbladder, it is damaged by the detergent action of the bile. And that damaged mucosa, it will secrete more fluid into the gallbladder than it can absorb. So as there is more fluid accumulation, there is distension of the gallbladder. And this distension will further release inflammatory mediator like prostaglandin, which will worsen the mucosal damage and will also cause ischemia. Okay, all of which will perpetuate the inflammation. And finally, bacterial infection can supervene. So there is the vicious cycle is established. Okay, the vicious cycle of food secretion and inflammation. And so when it is unchecked, that vicious cycle is unchecked, or any medical or surgical intervention is not taken in time, it may lead to necrosis and perforation of the gallbladder. Okay, so that is pathogenesis of acute calculus cholecystitis. Okay, next one is acute calculus cholecystitis, means acute inflammation of the gallbladder in absence of stone. It is thought to result from ischemia. Okay. Okay, gallbladder is supplied by cystic artery, and cystic artery is the end artery. Okay, there is no any collaterals. So this anatomy itself is a risk factor for ischemia, because cystic artery is the end artery. Okay, and the factors promoting ischemia and inflammation. They will include compromised blood flow, gallbladder stasis, accumulation of microcrystal of cholesterol. Okay, biliary sludge. Biliary sludge means vicious mixture of. Okay, biliary sludge means vicious mixture of small particles that are derived from the bile. Okay, and this biliary sludge is vicious mixture of small particles derived from bile, and these particles consist of cholesterol crystal, calcium salt, calcium bilirubinate, mucin, and other materials. Okay, and these all vicious biliary sludge, vicious bile, and gallbladder mucus may obstruct the cystic duct in absence of stone. Okay, so in this case, in the acute calculus cholecystitis, cystic duct was obstructed by the stone. But in acute calculus cholecystitis, there is also obstruction of cystic duct, but it is not obstructed by the stone. It is obstructed by vicious bile, gallbladder mucus, and biliary sludge. Okay, biliary sludge means vicious mixture of small particles derived from bile. And these particles or sediments include cholesterol crystal, calcium salt, calcium bilirubinate, and mucin. Okay, all these will obstruct the cystic duct. So in acute calculus cholecystitis, cystic duct was, in both cases there is obstruction of cystic duct. Okay, but in acute calculus cholecystitis, cystic duct was obstructed by stone. But in acute calculus cholecystitis, cystic duct is obstructed by biliary sludge, vicious bile, and gallbladder mucus. Okay, finally resulting in ischemia. Okay, so acute calculus cholecystitis, it is generally present in severely ill patient in hospital. Okay, it is generally present in severely ill hospitalized patient, severely ill hospitalized patient. So what are the risk factors for acute calculus cholecystitis? Okay, risk factors include sepsis with hypotension and multi-system organ failure. Okay, immunosuppression, major trauma and burns, diabetes mellitus, and infections. Okay, so acute calculus cholecystitis, it is common in severely ill patient. Okay, severely ill hospitalized patient. And risk factors include sepsis with hypotension, immunosuppression, major trauma and burns, diabetes mellitus, and infection. Okay, these are all risk factor for acute acalculous cholecystitis. Okay, acute cholecystitis without stone. Okay, these are the risk factor for acute acalculous cholecystitis, which is usually present in severely ill patient in hospital. Okay, now morphology. In morphology, okay, morphology is similar for both acute calculus cholecystitis and acute acalculous cholecystitis, except in acute calculus cholecystitis, grossly stone is present. Okay, as acute calculus cholecystitis is caused by stone, grossly stone is present there in case of acute calculus cholecystitis. Otherwise, morphology for both calculus and acalculous cholecystitis are same, except presence of stone in calculus cholecystitis. Okay, so grossly gallbladder is usually enlarged and tense, bright red in color, or or have green black discoloration due to subserosal hemorrhage. Okay, and this serosal covering. Okay, serosal means, okay, remember one thing, in lining of gastrointestinal tract, there is mucosa, submucosa, muscularis propria, and serosa. Okay, but in case of gallbladder, one layer is absent. That is submucosa. Okay, submucosa is absent in gallbladder. Okay, mucosa, submucosa, muscularis propria, and serosa. But in case of gallbladder, submucosa is absent. Okay, and in both acute calculus and acute acalculous cholecystitis, grossly serosa is covered. Serosa means outer layer. Okay, that we can see. Most outer layer that we can see is serosal covering. Okay, to view mucosa, we should cut the gallbladder. Okay, and serosa is the outermost layer. So serosal covering, it is covered by fibrinous exudate, and in severe cases, it is fibrinopurulent. Okay, fibrinous exudate means, okay, fibrinous exudate, it is related to fibrinogen. Okay, fibrinogen, it is a soluble protein in blood plasma. Okay, fibrinogen, it is soluble protein in blood plasma that is converted to fibrin through the action of thrombin during blood clot formation. Okay, so you have studied in coagulation. Fibrinogen is a soluble protein in blood plasma that is converted to fibrin through the action of thrombin. Okay, so fibrinogen is soluble protein in blood plasma that is converted to fibrin through the action of thrombin. Okay, it is converted to fibrin through the action of thrombin during blood clot formation. And an exudate containing large amount of fibrinogen and fibrin is known as fibrinous exudate. Okay, so serosa, it is covered by fibrinous exudate. Okay, fibrinous exudate is also seen in case of rheumatic carditis, streptococcal sore throat, and bacterial pneumonia. Okay, besides this, fibrinous exudate, they are present grossly in rheumatic carditis, streptococcal sore throat, and bacterial pneumonia. Okay, so serosa is covered by fibrinous exudate in case of acute cholecystitis. And in severe cases, in addition to fibrinous exudate, there is also pus, which is known as fibrinopurulent exudate. Okay, so in severe cases, serosa is covered by fibrinopurulent exudate. So fibrinous exudate, it is related to fibrinogen, and fibrinous exudate is also present in rheumatic carditis, streptococcal sore throat, and bacterial pneumonia. Beside from this condition, so grossly in case of calculus cholecystitis, okay, as I have already mentioned, in calculus cholecystitis, grossly you can see stone obstructing the neck of the gallbladder or cystic duct. Okay, so stone may be present in calculus cholecystitis grossly. And gallbladder lumen, they can be filled with cloudy or turbid bile. Okay, due to fibrin, pus, and hemorrhage. Okay, there may be fibrin, pus, and hemorrhage. And there is one term known as empyema gallbladder. Okay, if the gallbladder lumen is completely filled of pus. Okay, if the gallbladder lumen is completely filled with pus, that condition is known as empyema of the gallbladder. Okay, this is important term. Okay, empyema of the gallbladder. If gallbladder lumen is completely filled with pus, that is known as empyema of the gallbladder. And on cord section, gallbladder wall is thickened, edematous, and hyperemic. Okay, there is next term. Okay, gangrenous cholecystitis. So as I have already mentioned in the pathogenesis, that vicious cycle of fluid secretion and inflammation, if they are unchecked, and if any surgical or medical intervention is not taken in time, they finally may result in necrosis and perforation. Okay, so in severe cases of acute cholecystitis, it can be transferred into green black necrotic organ. Okay, green black necrotic organ due to severe ischemia, and that condition is known as gangrenous cholecystitis. Okay, if the gallbladder is transformed into green-black necrotic organ due to severe ischemia, that condition is known as gangrenous cholecystitis. And if the gallbladder is invaded by gas-forming organism like Clostridia and coliforms, that is known as emphysematous cholecystitis. Okay, so there are three terms. Okay, empyema gallbladder, gangrenous cholecystitis, and emphysematous cholecystitis. If the lumen of the gallbladder is completely filled with pus, that is known as empyema of the gallbladder. Okay, and if the gallbladder is transformed into green-black necrotic organ due to severe ischemia, then that is known as gangrenous cholecystitis. And if the gallbladder is invaded by the gas-forming organism like Clostridia and coliforms, that is known as emphysematous cholecystitis. Okay, so in microscopy of acute cholecystitis, it is infiltrated by acute inflammatory cells. Okay, acute inflammatory cell is neutrophil. Okay, so they in acute cholecystitis, as the name implies, it is acute inflammation. It is infiltrated by neutrophils. Okay, acute inflammatory cells, which is neutrophil. Similarly, there is edema and embrace, and the mucosa may be ulcerated. Okay, so in microscopy, there is ulceration of mucosa, edema, embrace, and it is infiltrated by acute inflammatory cells. Okay, it is acute inflammation, so it is infiltrated by acute inflammatory cells, which is neutrophils, and the neutrophils may be scanty to numerous. Okay, so this is gross picture of acute cholecystitis, and this one is microscopic picture. In gross picture, it is okay. This layer is outside layer is serosa, and the inside layer is mucosa. Okay, it is cut open. Okay, so the gallbladder is tense and red in color, and this mucosa. So the gallbladder is tense and red in color, and we can also see the urinous exudate here. Okay, and in microscopy, there is ulceration of the mucosa. Okay, you can see here there is break in the mucosal continuity, means there is ulceration of the mucosa. Okay, so this is mucosa. Okay, tall columnar cells, mucosa, and there is break in this continuity of the mucosa, means there is ulceration of the mucosa, and it is infiltrated with neutrophils. Okay, these are all neutrophils. Okay, neutrophils are present in lamina propria and muscular layer also. So there is ulceration of the mucosa, as well as it is infiltrated with neutrophils. Okay, so this is microscopy of acute cholecystitis, mucosal ulceration, infiltration by acute inflammatory cells, that is neutrophils. So in clinical features, there can be progressive right upper quadrant pain associated with fever, tachycardia. There may be nausea, vomiting, and sweating. And if jaundice may be present in case if the stone gets impacted in common bile duct. Okay, if common bile duct is obstructed by the stone, then jaundice may be present. Okay, normally jaundice is not present. Okay, jaundice is present in only few patients. Jaundice is present if the common bile duct is obstructed by the stone. Similarly, there is mild elevation in other liver enzymes like alkaline phosphatase. So there may be fever, anorexia, nausea, vomiting, right upper quadrant pain, and jaundice if common bile duct is obstructed by the stone, and there may be elevation of other liver enzymes like alkaline phosphatase. Okay, now next is chronic cholecystitis. Okay, so chronic cholecystitis, remember this way, chronic cholecystitis it is associated with cholelithiasis. Okay, it is associated with stone in more than 90% of the cases. Okay, it may be sequelae of acute cholecystitis. Chronic cholecystitis, it may be sequelae of acute cholecystitis, and it is associated with cholelithiasis or stone on gallbladder in 90% of cases. Okay, but one thing is not clear. Okay, that whether although gallstone is present in 90% of the cases, it is not clear that whether these gallstones it play a direct role in the initiation of inflammation or in the development of the pain. Okay, although in 90% of the cases, chronic cholecystitis is associated with stone. Okay, cholelithiasis, but it is not clear that this gallstone it will play or it won't play a direct role in the initiation of inflammation or the development of the pain. Okay, instead bile supersaturation, okay, it predisposes to both stone formation and inflammation. Okay, you will study in cholelithiasis. Okay, how these stones are gallbladder stones are formed. Similarly, bile supersaturation. Okay, it is not clear that whether this stone play a direct role in inflammation or not. Okay, instead, bile supersaturation. Okay, it predisposes to chronic inflammation. Okay, it is not clear whether stone will predispose to inflammation or not, but it is clear that bile supersaturation it will predispose to inflammation. Okay, and clinical features are similar to that of acute cholecystitis. Okay, clinical features are same. Okay, in morphology. Okay, both gross and microscopic picture. Okay, they are extremely variable. Okay, extremely variable. Sometimes it may be minimal, and sometimes there may be severe subserosal fibrosis. Okay, most important feature is subserosal fibrosis. Okay, chronic inflammatory cells infiltrate in addition to subserosal fibrosis. Subserosal fibrosis is very important finding in case of chronic cholecystitis. Okay, so grossly, serosa is smooth and glistening. The outermost surface of the gallbladder that we can see is smooth and glistening. There may be presence of subserosal fibrosis. Fibrous adhesion may be present in case of pre-existing acute inflammation. Okay, if this chronic cholecystitis is a result of pre-existing acute inflammation, then there may be fibrous adhesion. And cut section of the wall is thickened and gray white in appearance. Okay, normally mucosa is uncutting. Mucosa is generally preserved. Okay, mucosa is generally the outermost surface is serosa, and when we cut open, we can see the mucosa. Okay, that mucosa is normally preserved in case of chronic cholecystitis. And the lumen will generally contain the bile. Okay, green yellow to mucoid bile. Generally, green yellow normal bile is present in chronic cholecystitis, and mucosa is preserved. Okay. So grossly, serosa is smooth and glistening. Subserosal fibrosis may be present. On cut section, wall is thickened. Mucosa, on cutting the gallbladder, mucosa is generally preserved, and the lumen contains normal bile, okay, normal green yellow bile. In microscopy, also degree of inflammation may be variable. Is variable means there may be scant inflammatory cells also, and sometimes there may be severe inflammation. Okay, there may be inflammatory cells may be scant or severe. Okay, initially. Okay, so as neutrophil was the acute inflammatory cells, chronic inflammatory cells are lymphocyte, plasma cells, and macrophage. Okay. So initially, these chronic inflammatory cells are found in mucosa and in the region of serosal fibrosis. Okay. So these chronic inflammatory cells are found in mucosa and subserosal layer initially. Okay, these chronic inflammatory cells, which include lymphocyte, plasma cells, and macrophage. And in advanced cases, there is marked subepithelial and subserosal fibrosis. In advanced cases, there is marked subserosal fibrosis. Okay, it is chronic condition. So there is subserosal fibrosis as well as marked subepithelial fibrosis in case of advanced cases, as well as now mononuclear cells may infiltrate. Okay, I will show you in the figure of this Rokitansky escopus sinus, and there is herniation of mucosal epithelium through the wall, which is known as Rokitansky escopus sinus. Okay, I will show you in picture. Okay, this one is also important finding of chronic cholecystitis. Herniation of the mucosal epithelium through the wall, it is known as Rokitansky escopus sinus. Okay, and there are two terms. Okay, xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis and porcelain gallbladder. Okay, xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis. Xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis. Okay, it consists of foamy macrophage. Okay, it is xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis is triggered by rupture of this Rokitansky escopus sinus. Okay, this rupture of the Rokitansky escopus sinus into the wall of the gallbladder result in accumulation of the macrophages that have ingested biliary phospholipid. Okay, whenever the Rokitansky escopus sinus is ruptured, there is accumulation of macrophages that have ingested biliary phospholipid, and these lipid-containing macrophages with foamy cytoplasm are known as foamy macrophages or xanthoma. Okay, these are known as that lipid-containing macrophages are known as xanthoma, and this condition is known as xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis. Okay, so this xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis, it is triggered by rupture of Rokitansky escopus sinus into the wall of gallbladder, which is followed by accumulation of macrophages. Okay, accumulation of foamy macrophages that have ingested biliary phospholipid, and these lipid-containing macrophages with foamy cytoplasm it is known as xanthoma cells. Okay, and this condition is known as xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis. And next is porcelain gallbladder. It is the gallbladder with extensive dystrophic calcification. Okay, gallbladder with extensive dystrophic calcification, it is known as porcelain gallbladder, and there is increased incidence of associated cancer in case of porcelain gallbladder. Okay, so this is picture of chronic cholecystitis. Okay, in first picture, you can see various layer of gallbladder are infiltrated by chronic inflammatory cells. Okay, these are all lymphocytes and plasma cells. Okay, in second picture is of Rokitansky-Askov sinus. Normally, this is the mucosa. Okay, these are the normal mucosa. And at some places, this mucosa is herniated inward up to this muscle layer, and this is known as Rokitansky-Askov sinus. Okay, normally it is not herniated. Okay, normally this area is normal mucosa. Okay, and at some places, this mucosa is herniated inward up to the muscle layer, and that areas are known as Rokitansky-Askov sinuses. Okay, so this is Rokitansky-Askov sinuses, normal mucosa, and at some places the mucosa are herniated inward up to the muscle layer, and this is known as Rokitansky-Askov sinuses. Okay, so complication of chronic cholecystitis include bacterial superinfection with cholangitis or sepsis. Okay, inflammation of the CBD. Cholangitis means, okay, so there may be bacterial superinfection with cholangitis and sepsis. Okay, there may be gallbladder perforation with local abscess formation, gallbladder rupture, and peritonitis. Okay, biliary enteric or cholecystoenteric fistula means fistula tract is found between small intestine and gallbladder. That is known as cholecystoenteric fistula, resulting in drainage of blood into the adjacent organs. Okay, it may finally lead to intestinal obstruction. Okay, gallstone induced intestinal obstruction. And final one is porcelain gallbladder. Porcelain gallbladder means gallbladder with extensive dystrophic calcification, and it may increase the chance of cancer also. Porcelain gallbladder. Okay, so complications include bacterial superinfection with cholangitis, gallbladder perforation with local abscess formation, gallbladder rupture and peritonitis, cholecystoenteric fistula. Okay, fistula tract is formed between gallbladder wall and small intestine, and finally resulting in intestinal obstruction, which is secondary to gallstone, means gallstone induced intestinal obstruction. Okay, that is also complication of chronic cholecystitis. And final one is porcelain gallbladder. Okay, thank you class. Is there any question?
No, sir. So xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis को फेरि एकचोटि भनिदिनु न.
Okay, xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis means actually if foamy macrophages are present in lamina propria of gallbladder, that is known as xanthogranulomatous cholecystitis. Okay, normally if there is rupture of Rokitansky-Askov sinus, okay, this condition is triggered by rupture of Rokitansky-Askov sinus into the wall of gallbladder. Okay, if there is rupture of Rokitansky-Askov sinus, there is accumulation of the macrophages that have ingested biliary phospholipid. Okay, biliary phospholipid are normally present there. Okay, and these macrophages will ingest the biliary phospholipid, and such lipid containing macrophages. Okay, the macrophages which have ingested that biliary phospholipid